So I see Mother Neha is here. And do you have anyone, Mother Neha?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I don't have anyone today, but I think you had
Aditya
named
Narayan Prabhu is going to
Hare Krishna.
probably give us the nectar today. Thank you, Mata. Aditya Narayan Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm here. Hare
All
Krishna.
right. Yes, now I see. I remember you.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. Jai Shri
A
Prabhupada.
few years back in Deland, I think we met.
Delan. Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Please give us
Okay.
some nectar.
Uh, Seeking your blessings and blessings of all the Vaishnavas. So Prabhu has asked me to speak on the point of acceptance of Krishna in our life based on the 6 points that Prabhu has actually given. So I'll briefly try to go through each point. The first point is acceptance of Krishna in our life based on what we learn from our Guru. So in relation to this point, what we learn from our Guru, I was actually thinking that, when we actually hear the philosophy from our Guru, from Srila Prabhupada, and one thing is, all they speak is actually from the Shastra, and they are quoting different parts of the Shastra, and also there's this convincing authority in their the way they are actually presenting the philosophy, and the clarity of the philosophy is actually something so unique that shows the conviction behind the philosophy. So that was the first point about like what they are speaking, and they're quoting from different shastras, acharyas, and so on. And the second point about what we learn from the Guru, I was actually thinking that how we have those 9 symptoms of bhav bhakti, and I feel like that is so like unless one is actually really devoted to Krishna, has that conviction, it is not possible to fake those 9 symptoms of bhakti. So like briefly just mentioning those symptoms, so you have perseverance, and we see like whether it's my Guru or Srila Prabhupada, all our ISKCON Guru Varga, we see in spite of all the challenges, whether it is from the outside world or whether it's like financial trouble or whether it is even within the ISKCON society, like they are just so determined to continue their service to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, and if it is not that, if it is something fake, then how can that be that deep conviction to just continue whatever happens? So that's the first thing of perseverance. Then second one is avyartha kalatvam, utilization of time. And we see how our ISKCON Guru Varga, like, always engaged in like preaching Krishna consciousness. Like I've seen in my Guru, like getting up at 2 a.m., chanting his rounds, then doing all the GBC seva, like correspondence, and, like getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning just to, do sadhana and seva. And it's like, not wasting a single moment outside of preaching Krishna consciousness. Then detachment, viraktir is a third one. And we see the quality of, like personally in our life, we can see like how it is so hard to break from some previous habits, to actually have a feeling of detachment. But in these personalities, we see that feeling of detachment. Then pridelessness, then asha bandha, then there's a samutkanta, then nam gane sadaruchi. So that one also we see that when the Guru, they actually speak, there is so much enthusiasm. And I've seen my Guru that when he's actually speaking Krishna Katha, he's really relishing the Krishna Katha from within. Like, just the way he's presenting, you can actually see that the bliss he's experiencing is not something of this world. It is something very special. And attachment to the God's qualities, and then desire to live in the Dham. So what we learn from a Guru is we see from hearing from a Guru, from hearing from Srila Prabhupada, we actually see the conviction, the clarity of philosophy, the authority of just quoting from Shastras and Acharyas, and we see these 9 symptoms. So that's the first one, Prabhu. The second one is Acharyas. What we learn from our acharyas, and in one of the classes he also mentioned how Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Navdeep Mahatmya, he talks of like how all the 4 acharyas of the different sampradayas have actually establish or convincingly explain Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Ramacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbar Swami, Vishnu Swami, all four of them. And then Prabhupada often quotes, even Shankaracharya, he actually says, Narayana Paravyakta, that even Narayan is actually supreme, he's actually transcendental. And then if you actually see Jiva Goswami, even outside our Vaishnava society, Jiva Goswami is actually recognized as one of the great philosophers. And I have not studied the Sat Sandarbha, but I've heard from different devotees how Sat Sandarbha, Jiva Goswamis go step by step to actually establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also like how Prabhupada quotes that example about this German philosopher who actually came to India, and he saw all the different deities, and he saw like, well, everyone is actually doing something. Like Durga, she has her trident in her hand, and then all the different personalities are doing something, but only Krishna is the one who's holding the flute and he's actually enjoying. So he actually concluded how Krishna is the supreme among all the personalities. So it's a very simple point, but I feel like it's so wonderful that Krishna is just Akila Rasamrita Murti. He just enjoys. He's just like a supreme enjoyer. So that's about acharyas. The next about scriptures. How do we know from our scriptures? Well, there are so many different scriptures, and someone can quote a scripture to say Lord Shiva is the supreme, or Brahma is the supreme, all these. But we have to see, like, among all the scriptures, which is the highest of all scriptures. And we know from Srimad Bhagavatam itself, how the story between Vyasadeva and Narad Muni, that Srimad Bhagavatam is actually considered as the highest of all scriptures. And Bhagavatam very clearly establishes Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. And then also, if you consider Bhagavad Gita, which is so widely accepted, Krishna himself says, Mata Parataram Nanyad, and then Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. And in that purport for that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu 10.8, Prabhupada gives like a list of different scriptures establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I just opened that text. I want the shortage of time. I'll just quickly mention Prabhupada quotes from Atharva Veda. He quotes from Narayana Upanishad. Then he quotes from a different, again, Narayana Upanishad, then Maha Upanishad, Mahabharat, Varaha Purana. And he quotes from so many different, and he gives right quotations to actually establish how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then also in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, we see how Krishna shows the Vishwarupa form, to actually show how he is the Supreme. Then the next 2 points are, did Krishna reveal himself, and did he reveal his omnipotency? So in relation to that, I was actually thinking of few pastimes. I just mentioned the pastime. One is that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a pastime of how when Brahma actually came to see Krishna, and the doorkeeper actually asked, which Brahma? And then after that, it is described that when Brahma actually came inside, he asked, like, why do you ask which Brahma? And then immediately, like, Krishna showed how, like, the Brahmas from all the different universes, and then Lord Shivas from different universes, they all came and they offered their obeisances to Krishna. And that shows that our Krishna is the supreme. And then also, Lord Shiva and Krishna, there's always that, there's so much, people have confusion, who is supreme, Shiva or Vishnu? And then there's a pastime of Shiva and Mohini Murti, and we see like how Shiva is actually following Mohini Murti. But the main point is Shiva is not bewildered that he is actually attracted by that form. He is actually, yes, this is my Lord, I'm attracted by that beauty. Then also we see in Brahma Vimohan Leela how, Brahma himself, who is the creator of this world, he is bewildered by Krishna's glories. And then there's one verse in his prayers where he says, like, someone may say that they know Krishna, but as for me, I don't know Krishna's glories. He's so unlimited, that's impossible to know his glories. And then also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Adi Leela, in the 2nd chapter, there's this whole section from text 28 onwards, where it is actually proved how Brahma proves that Krishna is actually the source of the Narayan. Krishna is the supreme, and he gives different reasons to say how Narayan is actually the plenary portion of Krishna, and he talks of how the Vishnus, the Karnatakshay, Garbhodakshay, Shirodakshay, Vishnu, they are all emanations from Krishna himself. Right? So that is those 2 points. And the final point, Prabhu, is about our personal realization. And with this, I feel, that every sadhaka has an experience of how Krishna is personally arranging things in his spiritual life, whether that is actually association with a particular devotee, or like we may hear so many classes online, but one particular class is something that is really what we needed for our spiritual life. And we see like this, all like Krishna is actually personally arranging these things in our life. And whether that is also like an opportunity to like visit different festivals, an opportunity to go to the holy dham, or and Krishna actually blesses us with like opportunities and inspiration to actually engage in different kinds of services. And one can say like this is our Krishna who is actually personally helping us in our spiritual life. So it is like I feel like it's a very personal feeling, like Krishna is doing this for everyone, but we just have to analyze how Krishna is reciprocating in our lives. And also, there are always these special moments in our spiritual life, which, Krishna gives us like a special token sometimes to actually, show his personal, reciprocation or personal mercy. And then also we can see how Krishna is personally protecting us through different stages of our life. And also the bliss we experience in like kirtans and devotee association. This is all like, I feel it's like how you explain the first few classes about the different energies of Krishna, the Chit Shakti. And this is, I feel like we are at least getting a glimpse or like some special bliss, some taste Krishna is giving us, so that we can actually come closer to him. And the last point in this personal realization is, I feel like how Prabhupada says that Krishna is not a distant God. So I really like that how Krishna is so accessible. Like anytime we can, even when we're in a shower or anywhere we are, we can just, pray to Krishna and personally connect with Krishna. So because of all these points, Prabhu, I feel like, this is how Krishna is right there, and this is how I accept Krishna in my life. So thank you all so much for listening.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And please correct me if there are any mistakes. Thank you.
This is such a wonderful. Thank you, Adityanarayan Prabhu. You woke me up. I was sleeping almost. This is wonderful.
Thank
this
you.
Meditation is compulsory. Everybody has to give this. If you cannot prepare yourself, you will be forced to prepare. Whether you prepare now or before death or next life, you're not going to get Krishna without actually accepting. You're going to go somewhere, but not Krishna, unless you really accept him. And if you accept him, you can express. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in this world, to whatever we practice, apani achari dharma jivke sikar, you have to share. If you expect something to be seen in others, first you should see within you. This is very important. So I'm very happy that Adityanarayan Prabhu expressed that. And tomorrow, who is going to do voluntarily express this? Well, is he there? Because Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, I am very much here.
Prabhuji, Wednesday, it's Nilambari Mataji has nominated.
You are ready for tomorrow. I mean, Wednesday. Nilambari Mataji?
Wednesday, Nilambari Mataji nominated her name.
Okay. And then Friday, because who can do it?
Yes,
I really
Prabhu.
want very nicely explain like your own. This is something you have to contemplate every day. It will only expand, not minimize. Prabhus and mothers, you are made of knowledge. Satchidananda, what is chit means? And knowledge. You are made of knowledge, and then at the end, that knowledge transforms into relationship and feeling. But relationship and feeling will not come unless you are aware fully. It's a hallucination. We think that it will pop all of a sudden in the heart, some feeling and relationship with the Lord. I don't even know who the person is. No, it's not going to happen. We have to be realistic. More we understand and accept Krishna, Krishna will come. We cannot just think something will pop all of a sudden in the heart. It's not something going to drop from the sky and catch you. You are intentionally accepting, you are contemplating, you are embracing Krishna within your heart by expressing this. So this is very important. Okay, this is wonderful. So Wednesday will be Mother Nilambari and then Friday. And is there anyone to express the expression of for Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Faithful attitude.
One person has nominated for Wednesday for gratitude. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. For today, Mata?
For today, we don't
Is
have
it for
anyone
today?
for gratitude.
Okay. All right. Wednesday. Okay. I need a volunteer who can read before. Who can help me to read? No one volunteering.
Prabhu, your bandwidth is very low. Maybe you can switch off your video for a minute or so. Prana Govinda Prabhu, it shows that your
What
network
happened? Voice is low.
Yes,
No,
Prabhu, the
Voice is
voice,
low. You are saying?
the voice is also
breaking up.
breaking and picture is also not clear. Maybe if you stop your picture for some time, voice will improve. Hare Krishna.
The voice is, let's see.
Yeah, voice is okay now.
Voice is better.
Yeah, it's better now, Prabhu.
Okay.
I think because it shows your network
Okay, who can read? Who can help me reading?
I
I
can
can try
read.
to read Prabhu also.
Anastasia Mataji want to.
Okay, why not you both share today?
Yes,
Begin
yes.
with Mother Anastasia.
You may start, Prabhu, and I will continue.
Okay, chapter 9 we are reading. Before that, I have one question. If 2 years old child, Srila Prabhupada gave that analogy. If 2 years old child, can you relate 2 years old child? You ever saw 2 years old child lifestyle in your family or your neighbor or somewhere, 2 years old child? If the 2-year-old child is stubborn to his mother, say, leave me alone, I will live by myself. I don't want mother, I don't want anybody. And if you say no or yes, you have to explain. Please explain me, somebody.
Prabhu, can you repeat the question one more time?
If 2 years old child to whatever stubbornness, saying that he is claiming by himself, he doesn't need parents, he doesn't need, is that okay?
So
He wants independence.
yeah, so Prabhu, that practically it happens also. I have a 3-year-old and one 9-year-old child, and sometimes kids are very stubborn in a sense, like they demand something, whether it is a toy or something, and it's not fulfilled. They are a little grumpy, and they go and sit in a corner. I mean, they don't express themselves that I want to be alone, I want to live alone and all. But as a parent, we kind of certainly enjoy that as well, but we play kind of. It's okay, okay, you want to live alone, that's fine. You be with yourself. Now I'm going. And this is, I'm saying, Prabhu, from experience, what we do. And after some time, they mellow down because their anger or grumpiness has gone. And then they are normal itself. And, the fun starts again.
Anyone else has any other experience? This is wonderful. Thank you. Is that okay? We should leave that child live by himself, or you agree, you don't agree, or you don't understand?
Cannot afford to leave the child, Prabhu. Child is ignorant, so he is thinking he can be independent, but the mother knows that we cannot leave the child, so somehow mother still holds the child hand and make sure that the child is safe and protected.
If you are from the child perspective, what would you say?
I think as a child, maybe I think sometimes we wanted to be independent. We wanted to be on our own. That's the nature, without understanding that that the mother's hand is the protection. So sometimes we may not understand it. We wanted to live independently, assuming that we'll be free and we'll be okay being independent.
The reason I'm asking, because we may be grown up, maybe we may have a gray hair, but to a Mahabhagavat, we are just like a 2-year-old child. We know what is independent, act on it. But when they look at us, they think we are just a little child. We think we're figuring out what is best for me in my life. Mother Chiara, you wanted to say something?
When you ask, Prabhu, for someone to give child's perspective, the child is probably thinking, because the child maybe doesn't understand it is child, so maybe the child is thinking that it knows better and that maybe it can be happy on its own, and maybe it doesn't like being told what to do, and maybe it has this very independent, because still, even though it is just child, maybe nervous tissue is not developed nicely, but still this being has been around a very long time, and so we have to kind of see it from that point of view, that even though it is child's body, still it is living entity who has been living so many lives, so many experiences. Maybe it cannot understand them, but maybe whatever it is experiencing in that moment doesn't feel right to it, even if it doesn't know why. And so maybe the child could be completely correct. I mean, I'm sure all of you are good parents, and this is not the case, but in America, many parents are not so good. And many children, I have seen them. I have seen 7-year-old child walking down the street, no parents, saying it will walk home 3 states over, distressed by the environment. And so in this way, I think that even if it is child's body, that even though it only has limited experience in this lifetime, still it is great being. And still, we should respect it and give it whatever nurturing it needs to progress, and not from perspective as we are bigger and older and greater, but just as in this is, living entity who needs love.
Okay.
That is all.
It's interesting. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. This is wonderful, wonderful perspective. Good. Now let me tell you what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur answered to our independence and dependence. Because today this chapter is talking about sin, what is causing us suffering, and how the holy name need to be seen as a most benevolent, merciful in our life. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says, to try to become God is non-devotional. Some of you probably thinking, I'm not trying to become God. Really? Do you allow Krishna to come? And if you say yes, I show you actually in you one day, just one day of your life, that how many times actually you did not agree. Krishna sanctioned here. But yet, without Krishna's sanction, nothing can happen. So maybe we don't understand what Krishna is. So the desire to become independent in this world means to become the servant of others. Please remember this. When you desire servant of others, material independence is simply a covered form of dependence. Complete independence is obtained by becoming dependent on the Lord, who is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. I'm going to ask you this to explain me again. This is so wonderful. And desiring only to serve him. As long as the living entity hold the rope of the Lord's mercy, they are known as his servant. Those who think themselves self-dependent or independent should know that they are actually dependent on illusion or others. Only those who depend on the Supreme Lord are truly independent. I'm going to repeat that line, paraphrasing. Only those who depend on Krishna are truly independent. When we attain actual independence, then the conception that we are eternally dependent on Sri Hari, Krishna, becomes prominent. And any object that is complete, whole, is transcendental. I'm sure you thought many times, does our past karma has so much destiny, like as we say, gray hair, wrinkles, all these things comes, how much our free will really has effect on this, or can it change? All this idea, I'm sure you probably contemplate. So I'm going to give you a little clue about it. I was collecting Srila Prabhupada's comment in a different dialogue discussion. One devotee asks, when everything is destined, how can we have free will? You are born in a particular, I will use the wrong word, ghetto area. Everybody understand ghetto? I mean, it's a place where you don't see a good human civilization. Okay. So answer to that, I'm going to paraphrase what I understood from one devotee. I was discussing with few devotees. It is wrong to assume that everything is destined in our life. First of all, you must remember this. Everything is not destined. Because I was reading Baladev Vidyabhushan Thakur's Govinda Bhaishya. And Baladev Vidyabhushan Thakur, he wrote Govinda Bhaishya, you know, you look at it in Bhagavad Gita commentary, he gave very detailed explanation that if everything is destined, then there is no meaning to the existence of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. He said, why Krishna is telling us what to do, what not to do, if everything is like automatic? Everybody understand my point? It's very simple. Why the scripture is guiding us what to do, what not to do? If everything is predestined. So that means, so our own action were also destined, then there is no meaning to scriptures, because it means that we do not have a free will. We are forced to act according to destinies.
Okay.
Okay. It's okay, Prabhu? Satya Devata Prabhu?
Yes, yes. Sorry, I was.
Therefore, Baladev Vidyabhushan Thakur says the very fact that Lord Krishna has given us scriptures which provides in about what is not to be done. Chapter 16, you can look. So details Krishna gave. Why did he give? He gave to help us understand that we have a free will and we have a capacity to choose. We have a capacity to choose. It is true that certain important things in our life are destined, but there are also equally not very important things where we have the capacity to choose. And in Mahabharata, I'm sure you all read that how Vidura, while talking to Dhritarashtra about it, reconciled destiny and free will by saying that destiny determines the consequence of our action, not our action itself. Therefore, we have a free will to choose our actions. But once we have chosen our action, then we decide that consequences are in the airplane. I remember that I had an appointment 7 p.m. and I boarded in the plane at 12. Now, once the airplane is in the sky, how much choice do I have about this evening appointment? And if I make big fuss about it, what will happen? Prabhu, if I make a big deal inside the aircraft that I need to go down, I have a serious important appointment. Arunanayana Prabhu, you think they will take the flight down on the ground for me?
No, Prabhu.
So what should I do? Should I scream or make a big fuss, or what should I do?
Wait for the plane to land.
Well, he's not landing here, he's landing in another country.
Country. There is no other option.
No, I need different answer. I need more answer. Someone help me. Yes, Kara.
Maybe you just chant Hare Krishna and pray that Krishna makes some arrangement that even though the plan is delayed, that everyone will not be disappointed or upset because some delay also on their end will occur.
Something little more.
Prabhu, we accept it
Because
as Krishna's.
Personal responsibility. Yes, Adityanaran Prabhu.
Prabhu was saying that we accepted that, okay, this is part of Krishna's plan, and we just see how we can still focus on Krishna and accepted that, okay, this is Krishna's plan, what is happening is his desire.
This is also very good. Little one thing more. You think Krishna bought the ticket for me, or Krishna decided for me to go? He sanctioned. Sanction and decision is not the same. Because this is happening in your life every day. You make your own decision.
So, Prabhu, there are situations.
Who do you trust when you make the decision? Yes. There are situations, that's true.
Maybe I change the meeting schedule.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Well, I'm going to also share my understanding. Okay, I'm going to use a third person. If a person board a flight heading to Calcutta, then that person will have to go to Calcutta. Everybody agrees that. Before boarding the flight, the person has more options to choose from. But once he board the flight, his choice are limited. Can we see that? Or even restricted. One may say he has a choice to jump off from the plane. I mean, weird stuff people think. That choice will lead to his death. So it's not feasible. It is important to understand that we are not entirely free to choose whatever we like. That's my point, if you can accept it in your life. When we have a human body, we cannot fly like a bird, which means that destiny may at different times to some extent restrict the choices we have. Still, within that restriction, we have a certain freedom. And recently I saw even one here horse farm, a horse tied to a pole with a rope. In one sense, the horse is restricted from moving anywhere. So cannot walk beyond the length of the rope. You can understand. But at the same time, the horse is free to move anywhere within the circle. Anything there is restriction, there is some amount of freedom also. This means the destiny determines the circumference of our freedom, but it does not take away our freedom entirely. Am I making clear that point? Yes? Okay. Therefore, we too have a free will, and wonderful thing about free will is that more we use it in a right way, the more freedom we will have to choose our free will. In Bhakti Siddhanta Surya Thakur time, I'm sure you heard that story. There was a king who was testing a lazy man. When a person claims to be lazy, it appears to be restriction to use free will more freely, but more the person tries to act energetically, tries to shed the habit of laziness, the more the person is able to give up laziness. I saw it within me. So we can see that there are certain things which are consequential, which can be changed. Our future is determined not so much by what happens to us, but more by how we respond to those events. Is that clear? I'm sure you all understand that, and you're facing every day. So what happens to us is destiny, and how we respond to it, it's our free will. Is that clear? Very nicely. Destiny you cannot change, but you have a free will, how you respond. And more we respond appropriately, the more freedom we get to respond in a right way. And with that understanding, Prabhus and mothers, we can make the right choice. Although certain things in our life may be destined, that's true. It is important to know that not everything is predestined in our lives. Srila Prabhupada would explain that destiny determines the kind of a body we get, which is like a person getting a car to drive, say from Calcutta to Mayapur. The car may be fast car or slow car. You know, they have an ambassador, I don't know nowadays, whatever, they have a old truck or something. The car, you know, may have a slow speed or high speed, old car or new car, but whatever car a person got, whatever body you got, girl body, boy body, old, young, whatever you have right now, you have a freedom to move along because the destination is not determined by the car. Please remember this. Destination is not determined by your body. Whether you want to get Krishna Prem or not, is not actually limited by the body. I cannot get up on time, I cannot chant properly. This is excuse. It is determined by the person himself or herself. So we can apply this in our life. Destiny will decide the body we get, and along with the body, certain events, accidents, its longevity, etc. But what soul decide to do with the body depends on the person himself. I hope that is very clear. I end here. So what we can do? Can we get a one sentence? Let's see. You can remember, please remember this. We do have a free will. By using our free will, we can bring auspiciousness for ourselves, even within limitation imposed upon us by our past destiny. Okay, Satya Devata Prabhu, please start reading now. With that note, you can see this chapter.
Gaura Gadadhara Jaya Jahnava Jeevana Jaya 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 Sita Dvaita Jaya Bhakta Gana. Haridasa spoke on the power of the name to eradicate, chapter 9. Haridasa spoke on the power of the name to eradicate sinful activities. If the Jiva takes shelter of the pure name, which is Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental and pure at all times, quickly all the anarthas, including the weakness of the heart, will go away. When one becomes fixed in the holy name, one will no longer think of committing sin, and the effects of past sins will no longer influence one. This is due to the purification of the heart. Sin may be analyzed in 3 stages. A sinful act is the final stage. This is caused by a seed of the sin or a desire to sin. The desire or seed originates in ignorance, which is the root cause. All 3 are considered as causes of the suffering of the jiva. However, Krishna is merciful, always looking to the welfare of his parts and parcels. Not being able to bear the sufferings of the jivas, he always tries to help them. Thus, by the process of bhakti, the thirst for material stimulation or the lust of the senses leaves the heart. One is able to look with contempt on the endeavor to acquire a beautiful woman or wealth. One lives satisfied with one's constitutional service to the Lord. The devotee accepts everything favorable to the development of the bhakti and rejects everything unfavorable to the bhakti. He regards Krishna alone as his protector and maintainer and gives up all ideas of the selfish concept of I and mine. Thinking himself very low and worthless, the devotee will continuously chant the holy name. Whoever takes shelter of the name in this way can neither think nor do any sinful activity. It is guaranteed.
Wait.
Yes,
please underline that sentence. This is wonderful. This is the whole paragraph is an examination your heart. You have to check. I cannot check. You cannot check my heart. Everybody has to check their own heart, where your consciousness, inclination, especially emotion, direction of your emotion will determine your destiny, your destination. Direction of your emotion will determine or actually will define where you're heading. Whether you have attachment or aversion or devotion. If the emotion, my emotion is not going towards Krishna, it is not devotion. I can act like this, I can fake it, but it won't work ultimately. So this is very important. This last line, whoever takes shelter of the name in this way can neither think or do any sinful activities. But we have to know, see how this cycle, I made this chart, I don't know where it is, Mother Nilambari Radha or somebody is good in the making chart. You can make a chart like this. One is the cause and effect. Cause is ignorance, avidya. then the desire develop the seed. Seed means the desire. And then the action. And this action, when it's manifest, called prarabdha karma. And then it creates more desire. It's actually never ends. It keeps going like this circle. You know, avidya, karma vasana, then karma, then prarabdha karma, kuta, bija, then prarabdha karma, then again it's circle, life after life. Last life I was probably a demon, because sometime I was examining my heart. I say, wow, I must have been a big demon. Who knows? I mean, it could be. Krishna knows, of course. So we have to be very careful that how we can direct our emotion towards Krishna in order to be as a devotion. It has to come from within you. The strong desire and prayers will actually bring you. But you have to have a good, strong desire. Then Krishna will help. Okay, next. This is wonderful.
It is guaranteed that quickly one will be purified from all sinful influence. However, inevitably, there is a period between sinful life and the pure state, and in this interim period, there may be some relation with the past sin, that is, some diminishing trace of sin. However, new sin is not being committed, and the past sin is quickly dissipating. The more one engages in the holy name, the quicker that sinful order will vanish. Krishna promised Arjuna that he would never let his devotee fall into trouble. Since trouble is caused by sin, Krishna mercifully takes away all sin from the devotee. Only with great trouble is the jnani able to control sin, but with Krishna's shelter, quickly he will fall from his spotless position. Therefore, as scripture concludes, only by taking shelter of the Lord in bhakti is safety guaranteed.
One second, Prabhu. Anybody can explain me what is sin? We talk so much about sin. What is sin means? Please help me. What is papa? What is sin means?
Anything which is done against what is mentioned in the scriptures.
Okay.
So, Hare
That's
Krishna.
good.
Hare
Something
Krishna.
more?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You can hear me?
Yes,
Am I clear?
you are audible.
Yeah. So, when we are in the knowledge that we are part and parcel of the Lord, and the seed of our desire is only to act and reciprocate to the Lord, all that is auspicious. Anything away from that is a sin.
Very good. That's a very good answer too. Something more, if there is some other view. If you don't know what is sin, you cannot get rid of it. Excuse me, Prabhus and mothers. You have to know what sin is. Everybody know, everybody heard the word, but do they know? Probably not. Even in Christianity, they have a common thing. They say sin means what keeps you away from God. So you have to express. Who else?
Prabhu, one point that.
Yes,
Go ahead, man.
Aditya Narayan Prabhu.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu. So based on what we read, like one point is any activity which is done in ignorance of a real spiritual self is actually a sin, because we read that how sin actually comes from ignorance. So if we act anything other than a real spiritual self.
Okay, that's true. But let me ask you, I will jump on that question. I didn't know that fire burns and I touched the fire due to ignorance. I didn't know. Is that okay? Will I not get burned or?
Still be burned.
Well, that's not fair because I didn't know that. Fire should not burn me. So good point Aditya Narayan Prabhu brought, that even in due to ignorance we commit. We may say, well, I didn't know. That doesn't mean you will be relieved from not suffering. No, you will go through suffering. That's why we see sometimes people just suffer and suffer and suffer with them, give them Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they will never out. There was a one morning conversation. There is a one man who was drunk and hit while was driving, killed a person. And in the court, he says, was not my fault, all made me. So it should be, you know, alcohol company or whatever the store should be sued, not me. Can you imagine what judge answered? He said, who choose to drink? Did alcohol told you to drink or you choose to drink? He said, well, yes, I did. So then you are responsible to suffer. You cannot escape. That's my point. I'm just going this way, that way, just to say that due to ignorance, we may say, well, you know, I was ignorant, I did. That doesn't mean you are free. Acknowledging is good. As Vikas Prabhu said, we have to be aware. But then we have to choose also to align with Krishna's plan.
Even in material world, ignorance of law is not an excuse, they say, right? Even in the normal
Yes.
world, you are still punished, whether you know it or not. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Mother Anastasia, can you continue please reading?
Sure. It is guaranteed that quickly one will be purified from all sinful influence. However, inevitably, there is a period between sinful life and the pure state, and in this interim period, there may be some relation with past sin, that is, some diminishing trace of sin. However,
Mataji, next paragraph, Mataji.
I'm sorry for my inattention. Even if by accident a devotee happens to commit a sin, he doesn't resort to the purificatory rites of prayashchita and karma kanda. That sin is temporary, and by chanting, it will be washed away, leaving no influence. However, there is another type of sin. If someone intentionally commits a new sin out of lust, thinking that there will be no bad effect because of the name's power in destroying sins, that person is not a serious devotee, but is known as a cheater. From this offense against the name, he will leap lamentation, fear, and death.
Hold on,
Thus,
Mata. Hold on 1 second. I really want everybody to pay attention. There's a two types, distinguished, two types of sinful activities. One is excused. It happened to me too in life. We are being forced to do something like we really later on we notice it's not, but intentionally you didn't do it. So there's a very clear description is given. Number one is unpremeditated sin. Means you did not think, absorb, you did not check yourself. It's happened just all of a sudden, you didn't even know. And second is deadly or a bad, you can say, is a premeditated sin. This is very important. And they are not same. One is intentionally, premeditated means he knew or she knew, whoever it is. Okay, go ahead. This is very important. These two. Okay.
from his offense against the name, he will leap lamentation, fear, and death. Thus, two types of sinful activities may be distinguished: an unpremeditated sin and a premeditated sin. There is a gross difference between the two, according to scripture. In the case of ordinary sin, one can counteract it by prayashchita. But if one even thinks of committing sin on the strength of the holy name, there is no remedial measure. So serious is the offense. Even endless torture by the servants of Yamaraj cannot deliver him from the offense. And if thinking of committing the offense to the name brings such suffering, how much more will be the suffering from actually committing such an act? An example is given. In scripture, one hears that the holy name removes the effects of more sins than one can commit in 10 million lifetimes. In countless places, the scriptures state that by Namabas, all 5 types of sin, even the greatest sin, can be removed. A person of a cheating mentality hearing this information will, with ill motive, start chanting the holy name. In the same way, a person may give up regular work as difficult and take the cloth of renunciate, but still associate with women and wealth for sense gratification. Using the position of an advanced renunciate as a means of enjoying as a householder is a great disturbance to the social order and the universe at large. Either as a householder or as a renunciate, there is no impediment to taking the holy name and perfecting one's life, provided one carries out his devotions according to the rules without offense. But to have the idea of committing sin under the shelter of the name is a great offense, which will block the path of bhakti. One who is at the Namabha stage by bad association is always in danger of committing this offense, but one who has Shuddhanama does not commit this aparata. Those who have taken shelter of the pure name do not at any time in any form come near to committing any of the 10 apparatus. However, as long as one doesn't have the pure name, there is every danger of onslaught of offenses, and therefore the person in Amabas should be aware of the mentality of committing sin on the strength of the holy name. Those who have the shelter of the pure name always live in association with pure Vaishnavas and are vigilant to avoid offenses. They have a mind determined not to move from thought of Krishna, not even for a moment. But one not in this status should live in fear of offenses, particularly the offense of committing sin on the strength of the name. This person should constantly chant the Lord's name, and by the grace of the Guru, get Sambandha Jnana, which will in turn give him real Krishna Bhakti and real Krishna Nama. If by faith one commits this offense, one should purify himself by association with pure Vaishnavas. Sinful desires are like thieves on the road to Bhakti, and the pure Vaishnavas are the protectors of the road. Loudly call out the name of the protector. When the protector comes, the thief flees. Say that name in love and do not fear, for remember that the Lord has said, I am your protector. Whoever vows to exclusively serve the feet of the Vaishnavas, thinking himself the lowest of the low, gets to sing the touchstone of the holy name.
Haribo, very nice. Can somebody give me some reflection? What did you understand the last paragraph? So nice. Please give me some realization what you heard.
But Krishna will always protect us if we take his shelter.
That's a common way to see that, and actually everybody likes it. But how to apply this is the purpose of this chapter. How do you apply it?
So basically, when a sinful tendency comes into the mind, when we tempted to do something, immediately call out the names of the Lord loudly. So probably that sinful tendencies or that provoking things will subside.
Yes. Yes. Those are not bad. Actually, those are good, because that will give you an impetus to pray seriously and sincerely. Everything that is coming, we should take advantage of it. I see within me, whenever I see some bad mentality coming, I take advantage of it and I pray to Krishna. Oh my God, this is like a monster idea. Where this idea coming from? If it ever manifests through me, it will be horrible. I don't want to see it. So it pushes me to come closer to Krishna in my meditation, in my prayers. This is necessary. Okay, let's have a little check up. Can we have a check up our heart? Please write it down if it is possible, or write it in your heart. There is a 8 check up whether you are where you are right now, whether you are liberated from the sin or how far you are. Now, do not judge. You can blame yourself, that's fine. So you can go to Krishna, but don't blame anybody else for your sin. And if you are interested where this idea checkup coming from, this is from Bhagavatam 5.4.5. You can read this, commentator gave. It's always good to have every realization, everything that we apply. Please remember, always should have a backup of an authority, either scriptures or acharyas or Krishna himself, some backup, then it will be effective and impacting. It will affect and impact. Otherwise, you will say like, oh, I was practicing, but didn't happen. Who recommended what you did? Well, I thought, no, your thinking is not a good idea. Prabhupada never took shelter even on his own. He always took shelter of holy name, and he said this, Bhakti nai, Ved nai, Name Bora Dhara, Bhakti Vedanta Nam, Eve Sartak Kara. In his writing, he said, I do not have a devotion. I don't know. I don't have knowledge. But I do have a strong faith on the holy name, instruction of my Guru. I'm holding tightly to this. This is good. Everything we think has to have a reference. It's not what you believe or not believe. Who is your reference that backing your belief? It's more important. So first checkup. There's a 8 symptom in Sanskrit is called apahata papna, bijaro, bimittu, bisoko, bijigatso, apipasa, saptakama, saptasankalpa. This is a good checkup to see. And actually, when you have all these 8, you are at the constitutional position. You're not conditional position at that time. Of course, it is not a fixed position until you depart from this world. It is not that easy just to stay there all the time. It will be nice until consciousness completely purify. Yes, then you can escape from it. So first is, how often you ever thought of breaking these 4 regulatory principles? No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication. I guess meat eating is very easy. I don't think any devotee ever fall for it. Well, I am wrong. Actually, there is a one who became few days devotee and he left. He went back and his family said, you'll die if you don't eat meat, just vegetarian. Unfortunately, hopefully he will be back. This 4 regulatory principle, if you, in your mind, if you don't have any symptom of breaking that, so you graduated, congratulations, 1 plus point. You need 8 in order to be in yourself. Constitutional means who you are and in your own self. See how far you are from yourself. So first is apahata papna. If you don't have any desire for 4 regulatory principle breaking, then you are good. Second, bijaro. Are you depressed because you're getting old? Or your body is like, you feel like you are your body? Or you just keep on going that, okay, I have body, what can I do? I'm just keep going on the spiritual progress, everyday chanting and following regularly, good. But if you feel like you cannot move on your own, your body has to allow you to move, means if your body is not healthy, you don't feel like to get up and do your sadhana, then, and if you don't, you really act on it, then you graduated. Second point, bijaro. Third, bimittu. Are you preparing to exit from this body someday? That will not be affected. You will not be affected. You're not interested to enjoy another Mataji or Prabhuji next life. Well, you need to take body, because in spiritual world, they don't enjoy the dead matter. They enjoy the spirit. It's unlimited happiness, but dead matter is limited. So if you don't have that, then you graduated. Third. Fourth, are you feeling regret? No, lamenting that you didn't enjoy life? Like one Prabhu, I tell you honestly, one devotee told me, Prabhu, I'm in my 50s. I feel like to enjoy sex so much, because if I feel like next life, I don't know if I will get opportunity like this. Should I just take advantage and enjoy now? I said, what is the purpose of you asking me? You trying to influence me, or you are trying to check with me whether you are going in a good direction? What is your intention? Why are you expressing this? Oh, I felt like if I tell you, probably you will tell me if I'm right or wrong. I said, what happened if I tell you right? And what will happen if I tell you wrong? Oh my God, so many questions you're asking. I said, of course, I have to know. I have no intention to hurt you. But if you made a decision that is against the rules and against the intelligent devotee, you're going towards the ignorance, obviously you're going to suffer. Maybe sometime by suffering we learn better than listening. Learning from listening is better, but not necessarily everybody learn by listening. Sometimes they have to suffer to learn. I'm not saying this is, I have no intention to curse or do anything, but I'm saying that's how I was also. Sometimes I had to learn by suffering. So then, if you don't have that, then you graduated. Number 4, Visuka. You say, no, I don't care for sense gratification. This body is for spiritual practice and finish my material existence of suffering world. If you made the decision, congratulations. That is Visuka. Number 5, Bijigatsu. It's related to the 4 that if you think like, it's true, you will see even amongst devotees, sometimes they're married 3 times in the Western world, 4th time, still thinking if I have a good body, if I can just, they're nice devotee, but somehow or other they can't just give up. They're getting old, still cannot give up, just holding it, if I can get some juice out of this body experience. If you say, no, Prabhu, I don't want it. Whatever happen, I don't want to endeavor. Then congratulations, this is called Bijigatsa. 5. 6. How much you desire to do for yourself versus service to God. Now, you say, well, I have to sleep. No, you don't sleep for yourself. Don't sleep for yourself, please. Sleep for Krishna. I have to go to toilet. Why? Because otherwise it will be humiliated in the body, So you go to toilet, so your body remain clean, fresh, so you can serve. So for Krishna, you're going to toilet. You're going to go to sleep for Krishna, so body can work better. Prabhupada said actually, if you have a good sleep, in purport of 3rd canto, 1 purport, I remember. If you have a good sleep, then you have a sharp memory also. Your memory is clear, not hazy. So good sleep is necessary, but you don't sleep for you. You sleep for Krishna. So you ask how much you do for you, or if you say, well, I'm doing everything for Krishna, then congratulations. You graduated from number 6 of Vipasa. Number 7, how much you desire really to please Krishna. Not just doing the service, how much you really have a strong desire. Is the Lord happy what I'm doing? I really want to make him happy. Do you have a strong desire? Is your desire is directing you towards seva, to please the devotee, to please the Krishna? If you did, congratulations. Satta Kama, you advance. And the last one, Satta Sankalpa. When you desire spiritual things, it happens in your life. Not like I want to be Mahabhagavat tomorrow. I don't mean like that. I mean something practical. Like I'm being honest to you, I generally don't like to say, sometimes 16 round did not work for me for years because I have a strong lust, greed, envy, so many things, disease in my heart. So I had to increase the chanting. And one couple, Dhruva Maharaj, Prabhu, and Mother Semapriya, they were very kind to me, old Prabhupada's disciple. They said, Pran Govinda Prabhu, many years back, they said, increase your round. We see you are progressing, but you can boost it. And I did it. All of a sudden, it became like a normal now. You double your rounds. You may think like, oh, I cannot live like this. I need a good sleep, good this. No, everything will adjust in due course of time. You don't lose anything. Rather, spiritually, you progress. And actually, it did happen. So, Prabhus and mothers, I'm saying this bhakti is practical, and it whatever promises, it gives, deliver the result. It's 100% true, provided you are willing to take it. So you will see those results actually happen. Spiritual desire get fulfilled. And congratulations for that. If you, even if you little, say you are chanting 60 rounds on Ekadashi day, you never miss 25 rounds, as Prabhupada suggested. Good. If you are doing this for years and it's going on, that means congratulations. Now you are actually liberated in this body. You could be in America or India, wherever you are, but you could be actually liberated. Liberated doesn't mean something special. Liberated means that's who you are. A soul is always liberated. But his entanglement ties him in this material world. So these 8 points you can read Prabhupada's purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary on the Bhagavatam, and check yourself how far or how close or how actually you graduated.
Prabhuji, can you tell the reference of the verse again, please?
This is from Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 4th chapter, text 5.
Okay, thank you.
In the purport, it's not in the verse, it's in the purport Prabhupada put. The whole purport is all about this. This is about who you are, the soul. You ever wondered? I'm sure you wondered, didn't you? Like, what is the soul actually feel? Who am I actually, the soul? Well, when you have this 8 point within you, you are the soul at that time. You are free from Maya. That doesn't mean you are completely free. You still have to enter into Golok Vrindavan in spiritual domain. But spiritual domain, as I mentioned, I repeated, probably you notice 100 times already, maybe 10 times. I'm exaggerating. That it's not another location, it's another reality. Means you can be in the spiritual world within this body. Srinivas Acharya, he was in this body, but he was pleasing Mahaprabhu also. Serving in Shetadip, Navadip, Golok Vrindavan. Narottam Das Thakur did. Many of our Acharya exhibited this. And Prabhupada in the 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, he elaborated this. He said, you don't have to die to go to spiritual world. I think I read it. Can you have anybody has a Bhagavad Gita last sloka 72 on 2nd chapter? In the purport, Prabhupada writes that devotional service and spiritual world, I'm paraphrasing. You can read it if you have Bhagavad Gita. The last verse on 2nd chapter, 72, I believe. In the purport, you will see in the beginning, just little down, that devotional service and spiritual world both are on the absolute platform. Those who are actually engaged in devotional service, technically they are in the spiritual world. Many places Prabhupada giving hint like this. So you can actually be with Krishna in spiritual realm now, not after death.
There is no difference between the kingdom of the God and the devotional service to the Lord.
Yes.
Both of them are on the absolute plane. To be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom.
Very good. Very good. You got it. Those are like a hint. You can memorize this. It will encourage you, inspire you. It's not like, oh, that Mataji died, oh, that Prabhu died, he went to back home, back to Godhead. Are Baba, was that person in back to Godhead before left? Who is giving? Did Prabhupada ever say this? Somebody died and he went back home, back to Godhead? Prabhupada never said this, according to Shruti Kirti Prabhu. Prabhupada always said, I hope, remember Krishna. Prabhupada was very scientific. I hope that devotee remember Krishna when left this world. Otherwise, we will be sentimental. Devotional service is not a sentimental or judgmental. It's a transcendental. We have to be in transcendental position now. Any comment, question, reflection? Also, few key points, please remember. I think I mentioned one day, explained. Krishna focuses not on what wrongs you have committed. Remember one day I explained, I remember those things, it's important. This is from Bhagavad Gita 9.30. Krishna focuses not on what wrongs we have committed, but on where our heart is committed. And I found many verses actually backing this. Krishna says, I don't remember that you didn't care, you ignored me. And Krishna says, I also ignore. You know what I ignore, Krishna says? That you didn't care for me. He's a sweet Lord. I'm serious. So please remember, Krishna focuses not on what wrongs we have committed, but on where your or mine or our heart is committed. It's very important. So this chapter is wonderful. We'll end here. If no, I want some reflection, at least one or two. What are you going to take from today's session? Something.
Prabhu, one point I've noted very interesting is complete independence is acquired only after the full dependence on the Lord. So only those who are dependent on Krishna, they're actually truly independent. That's a very interesting perspective. I've never thought about it before. I've made notes of it.
Yes, this is not my opinion. This is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Prabhupada, I can elaborate that another day, not today. Prabhupada gave an example of this is a very safe, isn't? If there is a 1-year-old baby and baby always depend on mother, baby got hurt, mommy, baby is hungry, mommy, it's It's not like you taking advantage. Baby is not taking advantage. Baby depend on mother. It is safety, safe. We should depend on Krishna like that. Thank you. One more. I got one more.
Can you just ask a question, Prabhu, please? Krishna?
Yes.
So there's many times mentioned about us taking shelter. So like taking shelter of Haridas Thakur before we chant, and taking shelter of holy name, taking shelter of Krishna. So what does exactly mean for us to really take shelter?
That's very nice. Please write it down, Mata. What am I willing? You write like this. What am I willing to follow from Haridas Thakur's instruction? One or two, whatever you feel you can do. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antolila chapter 3. You can read. The whole chapter is all about his conversation. You can take at least one instruction from him. Say, I am willing to take this instruction from Haridas Thakur from today. And another point, you have to have always two, negative and positive. What am I willing not to do? That Haridas Thakur told this prostitute, Haridas Thakur told to Maya Devi, so many instructions he also gave. He told Gopal Chakraborty, the spiritual life is not argumentative, because he was argumenting. And as a result, you know, he had a leprosy and died. So you can take negative. From today, from Haridas Thakur's teaching, I'm not willing to do this forever. But at least, please, Haridas Thakur, help me. I'm going to follow this, and I don't want to follow this. Both are coming from you. This is called shelter. You can write it in front of your bedroom, what do you call, door. So as soon as you wake up, you see it. Before you go to sleep, you see it. You reflect, did I follow his instruction? Not to do and do. That is called shelter. Then he will, believe me 100%. I mean, who am I? I'm an insignificant, wretched soul. But still, I have a strong conviction nowadays that whatever those Acharya says, the empowerment already built in those instructions. You don't need any separate endeavor to follow those. If you do it, you will be empowered by them automatically. But willingness cannot come from them. Willingness has to come from you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, is this the same thing like taking shelter of your holy feet when we say? Does the meaning remain the same?
Yes, more or less. There are 6 points, but today this 2 points is good. So one more reflection, the question, is that okay, Mother Anastasia?
Yes,
is that
thank you so much.
okay? Okay. One more reflection, then we can close. We got one reflection from Satyadevata Prabhu. Mother Shreya Kori Devi Dasi, you have any realization from today's session?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my Dhanyavat. My realization is the sinful activities, and I get to understand it better. And I believe that understanding the sinful activities will make me follow the rules of Prabhupada or rules of Krishna consciousness in a better way.
Good, good, good. Prabhupada will bless you. He will reciprocate. You pray to him. Very good. Good. Thank you. Wonderful. So we'll end here. Please accept my humble obeisances. Bancha kalpataruvescha kripa sindhubheva cha.